Hi, I'm Sharon Hales, and I am in Tujunga, California, at the Foothill Retirement Community. I was here for an entirely different purpose when I happened upon Sister Elsie's well, which I had heard of before. And so I called my friend Mike Lawler, who in and of himself is a Foothills Finds, and asked him if he would be part of this little video today. And his press agent and paparazzi have told me that he does not make personal appearances, so this is a rare find indeed. So Mike, I'm going to let you take the microphone and tell us about Sister Elsie.
Okay,
Or
I'll tell you about Sister Elsie. And I got to say, this is my favorite kind of history because it's ambiguous history. In other words, nobody really knows what the story is, and there's several versions of it, and it's just stuff that's been handed down, right? And that gets, blended, shall we say. So there's two stories to Sister Elsie, let me tell you. Now, the first story sounds really wonderful. In the early 1800s, the mission Indians were cast aside by the missions and went into disarray. A wonderful Catholic nun by the name of Sister Elsie took in all the orphans, all the Indian orphans that were roaming the area, and she brought them here to an Indian orphanage. And she, had a little herd of cows, and she was wonderful, and the Indians loved her. And when she died, they named the mountain Sister Elsie Peak, and they dug this wonderful well for her, Sister Elsie Well. Now, that's a great story, right? But here's another story that maybe is a little more realistic. In the 1870s, when the Americans took over, an army guy by the name of Wheeler did a survey of California. And in doing the survey, he got to name everything. And he just so happened to name this peak up here, Sister Elsie Peak.
And the peak that you're referring to is in the St. Gabriel Mountains.
It's actually Mount Lukens today. Yeah, right. So Sister Elsie Peak, right? We don't know why he named it Sister Elsie Peak. The reasons why he named everything are lost to history. They were destroyed in the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. So he named a few places Sister Elsie, so we don't know. Anyway, so we got Sister Elsie Peak. Now, Phil Begay was a ranger, and he also owned this land. And in the 1930s, he was interested in selling some of the land for a hotel. And the mission craze was happening at that time. Ramona was very popular. People came from the East Coast just to hear about the missions, hear about the Ramona story. John Stephen McGroarty was right next door here in Tujunga. He wrote the mission play, which was very popular. So Phil Begay was going to cash in on that. And I think he dug this well and named it Sister Elsie Well and put this wonderful plaque here. And here it stands today. And the coolest thing about it, it's a real well.
And tell us how deep it is.
Well, at the time that Phil Begay dug it, he said it was 90 feet deep. Now, everybody, including myself, have thrown stones into it to see how deep it is. So I think it's probably about 50, 60 feet now because all the stones. So that's the story of Sister Elsie's Well. But then we hear about the hotel that was built around it. And I'd like to introduce Tony Williamson. Tony, come on in.
Hi, I'm Tony Williamson, and I'm the Community Relations Director here at Foothill Retirement. And the story I heard about the well was that the Indians had dug the well.
Yeah.
And there was a gentleman by the name of Vasquez who used to steal horses down in Los Angeles and herd them up Horse Thief Trail, which is now known as Tujunga Canyon Boulevard, and water the horses at this well. The Indians used it as well as the missionaries. And the plaque here reflects the neophytes, which just means that they have been baptized by the missionaries. So once the Indians were baptized, they were referred to as neophytes. So the building itself was restored about 4 years ago, lovingly restored. 4 years ago? 2012. Right about there, yeah. 2012, maybe a little earlier than that. I've been here 2.5 years. They went to Santa Barbara to get the roof tiles so that the architecture would be intact, and the integrity would be there. It's a beautiful building. It's called Mission Eclectic, so there's a lot of Art Deco motifs inside the building, Art Nouveau. The hardwood floors are all original inside. We're on about an acre, a little over an acre of property here. And there's 3 standalone buildings, so we're assisted living. We also have a memory care community here, as well as a cottage with 6 apartments. It was a health resort.
Yeah.
So when it was built, it was called the Tujunga Hotel. And it was built for people that had lung ailments to come and recuperate. And they came from back east. They came from New York, the Midwest. They would come to the Tujunga Hotel and they would spend time here recuperating here in the Crescenta Valley in the dry mountain air up here. And then once they got better, they would leave. And it was a sanitarium for many years. There was quite a few of them up here, and this is really one of the last buildings that's really still pretty much intact, from what I understand.
I think this is the last intact health resort.
Yeah, exactly.
That founded this area.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's all I have.
So besides being the keepers of this wonderful architecture, you're also the keepers of this legend as well.
Yes, we are. And we have some,
It sounds like you like the legend.
I do. It's a lovely place. It's very peaceful. It's charming. It has so much character. And I love working here. It's just a really neat place, really nice place.
All right.
Yeah.
So in addition to keeping the architecture and the history, Tony is also keeping the residents. Residents live here in this beautiful surroundings. And the thing that's so fabulous about this Foothills find is that it's living history. It's not something from the past, but something that continues. The thing I worry about is if Sister Elsie is looking down on Mike Lawler and some unfortunate events happen because he's ripped her off from her due story. But we will go along with the other gritty side of things, and I really want to thank Mike and Tony for being here. They are living legends. Tony just let me know that she conducted a private tour for the Historical Society for folks to go inside and see the interior of this beautiful historic building, complete with intact architecture and decorative arts. If you're interested in seeing the inside, you can contact Tony directly at foothillretirement.net and appreciate some of the living history that is continuing on.